Today we're going to take a deep dive into base building in StarField, and we are going to talk about everything you need to know. How to find the best locations, where on that planet to then actually put down your base to get the best material coverage, how to link modules together to build like chains of modules for moving materials between each other, how to link bases and different systems together so resources are shipped around. Everything is going to be covered here. Hello ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be building ourselves a base in StarField today. I'm going to take you along for the journey, and the type of base that I want to be building today is a material farm. So something that can farm some materials, and then we're going to make it ready to be shipped off to a factory base that we can maybe build in the future. But for today, we are just going to be building the actual farm. So the first thing we want to do is we need to locate a good planet to get the resources we need. I recommend that you farm 2 materials per base, which will become obvious when we go into the actual building phase why that is. And to do that, all you old Elite Dangerous players will be very happy to see we are back on Inara. For those of you guys who haven't played Elite Dangerous, Inara.cz has for many years been like the place that you would go for out-of-game information about the Elite Dangerous in-game galaxy. They are beginning to also build up a database for information about StarField. We go up here, we go up to the StarField section, we head into database, and we are going to go to star system and planets. Now, we have a little map, a very nice map, and we're going to be looking for 2 materials, so we need to figure out what materials that is. If you haven't done anything, I recommend your first farm that you build should be a helium-3 farm, as you're going to need that for the subsequent bases. But for today, I just want to do a normal material farm. So I'm going to be looking for copper. So I'm going to put in copper here. And I'm going to be looking for, let's say, nickel. I'm going to click search. And now it just shows us a list of all the planets in the game that has copper and nickel on it. So far, all my bases are actually in the Nion system. I can actually see there is a planet here in Nion. We can see the planet Nira in Nion seems to have both. And we're gonna find planet Nira, there it is. We are gonna check the material content. If you don't have these materials here, you just set course to the planet, fly to it, and then you hit scan, and then you can see the resources. Here we can see, in fact, yes, we do have copper here in green, and we have nickel here in orange. So that's good. That means we do have the materials that we're looking for. Now we need to find a spot where we're gonna get both materials at the same time. So we're gonna go and click show resources. Okay, and our job right now is to find, so we have this dark green here, that's copper, and we have that area there is nickel. You can see I can't see some of the higher materials. If you're looking for more rare materials, you're going to upgrade some skills. And you're going to need this scanning skill. You can see I haven't even taken a single rank in it, but you can see here, and as you can see here, it allows you to detect uncommon, rare, exotic, and then finally unique. So if you want to be able to see the maps for the more rare materials, you're going to have to upgrade your scanning skill here. But because we're just looking for copper nickel, we don't really need that right now. The other skill that you might want to upgrade is planetary habitation. This one allows you to build outposts on planets with extreme temperatures, so deep freeze and inferno. Okay, you can see when we click show resources, it actually says this is an extreme environment planet. So even though it is set here as temperate, I assume it's because of temperatures or something like that we can't really use this planet yet because we don't have the skills for it. So we're just going to jump back on Inara, and you're just going to see we had one in the Cheyenne system. That one said that was an Inferno planet, so we can't go there. Maybe in the Alpha Centauri system. Let's try Alpha Centauri Samka. Okay, we can see here, and when we say show resources, it doesn't say extreme environment, so this time we are good. So now we need to find a spot, again, where the copper and the nickel meet each other. So we have the copper up here, looks like we have a lot of copper close to the poles, and we have the nickel right here. So we need to find a spot where those two meet, like right here. Here we can see, what is that? That is nickel, but that one there is copper. So that means right here, there we go, if you hide the resources, we can see here that we are right on the edge between 2 biomes. So we have the polar cap area and then the more lowlands type area. But because we have that there, we are gonna click and we're gonna set a landing site, and we're gonna try to get that as close to in between those two as possible. There we go. And we're just gonna go and land here. So the best way to do this is just to hit F to open up your scanner. Then you can see at the bottom of the map it says outpost. I'm on PC, so I need to press R. Now I can set down an outpost, and if you look up here in the upper left-hand corner, it says copper and water. That means where the outpost is right now, we are within range of copper and water. So what we can do now is just scan around, see if we find anything here. We don't really. Okay, so the reason why we don't really find any is just probably because we're too close, we're too far into the polar region. We're probably just in one of the biomes right now. So as you see, we can spot, often you can spot the edge between the two biomes. After trying for a slightly different landing spot, I got a much better one this time. You can see here, we have this area here, which is the polar region. This is where we find copper. And there you can actually see we are on the edge of the biome where it swaps over to this more flat or mountainous area. And this is where we're going to find our nickel. So we're going to be running on the edge between these two biomes, and we're going to try to find a spot where we get both copper and nickel at the same time. You can see I found a spot here that has both copper and nickel. So let's just try to put our base down to start with. What we're then going to do is we're going to swap over and find the extractors. And let's go down and check the copper. I'm going to press V to go into the top-down mode. We can see here we have a copper patch. That's a nice big copper patch. I like that. We have full coverage of the entire patch. That's good. Let's check nickel. There's our nickel patch. Again, nice, decent sized area. So I'm pretty happy with this spot. If you don't like it, what you can do is you can then zoom out here by using the mouse. And then you can just find, okay, let's say that I want to get a little bit more of the nickel spot. Then I could just go out of this menu with escape. And then go up here, remove the, hold R to remove it. And then just place it down slightly further in that direction. You can just fine tune the location of where you want your base. We're ready to begin building now. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump back in here. And let's start by getting down some nickel extractors. And what I'd like to do is just to go here. Right to the edge. Why is this area restricted? That's weird. Okay. Let's just start at the edge here then. Gonna put down my first nickel extractor. They have a minimum distance that needs to be away from each other. So I'm like to just zoom in, see how how close we can get to the other one, then put down the next one, just run around the edge of the patch here. I don't think they have any effect how much they overlap with the patch, so I try to just get as many down as I can. Now we're gonna swap over to copper, and we're gonna do the exact same thing here with copper. There we go. Okay, copper extractors are down. We want to put down some storage so we have a place to store these things, and just as like an intermediate one. Both copper and nickel are solid, so we're gonna need the solid storage. If you're doing liquids, you're gonna need liquids. If you're going to doing gas, you're gonna need gas. The transfer container here allows you to transfer directly from your base storage, all your storage containers, directly onto your ship, or the other way around, so you don't have to carry it manually. That can be useful if you're planning to ferry your resources around yourself. We're not going to do that. We're going to do it in another way. And finally, the warehouse is for storing manufactured goods. So anything you get out of a manufacturer, that will go into a warehouse. But for us, we're going to need solid storage. I'm going to build a slightly bigger one here, just for good measures. I'm just going to need this as a plate, so we're going to put one down there right next to the was that the copper patch? That was the copper patch. Let's see, where did the nickel go? Oh, here, nickel. And we're going to put down right here next to the nickel. Now we need to tell the resource extractors that they're going to put the materials in here to the extractors. What we're going to do is we're going to click tab. What is basically modify. We see right now we are in modify mode down here. We're gonna click tab. We are now and now we're in modify mode. Before it was build mode, so now we're in modify mode. What we're gonna do is we're gonna go up to an extractor, and we can see here we can create output link. So we're going to right click on the extractor, gives us this red line here, and we're gonna take that red line and we're gonna go and then we're gonna click E to confirm it. And now we have this red line connecting that extractor there. And the order that you do it in is important. You can't see it on the link, but they are directional. So right click, E. Next one, right click, E. Okay, everything is connected. Copper has been connected, nickel has been connected. We are good to move on to the next phase. Now, they're not working yet, and they're not working because we have no power. We can see down here that it says needed power 105, total power 0. Let's go and fix that. So we're gonna click tab to go back into build mode. And the first thing we just want to do is just remind ourselves where our extraction areas were, because we want to make sure that we're not going to overlap into one of the areas that we might want to mine. If we want to expand it in the future, we don't want to take up space that has resources on it. So we have a decent area here that looks pretty good. So we're going to move over to the power section here. You can see we have a few options. We can do wind turbines, or we can do solar power. And the amount of power and wind that they produce is dependent on the planet. So on my other planet, for instance, the solar array generated 4 power, but here they only generate, generated 6 power, but here they only generated 4. Probably because we're further away from the sun. I didn't have the option because it was on the other base I have is on a non-atmospheric moon. I didn't have the option to wind turbines. We do have that here. So we can either build solar or wind. You can also build fuel generators. Then you're going to need helium-3 for it to generate, which we can get. It's not a big deal. You can do it. I prefer just to go with solar and wind. So I think just to do something different, let's just build some. Let's put down some wind turbines and let's get some power going. And there we go. 1 wind farm later, and we now have more power than we need. So now everything should actually be good. That the first stage here at least is ready. We can see these also working away over there. Why is this one not working? Did I miss one? Oh no, there it is. It is working. So we should be able to go in here now. And we can see copper is now being produced. And similarly, if we go to the other container over here, nickel is being produced. Now, just having nickel and copper sitting in containers on a planet is not going to be super useful for us. We want to have access to this on other bases. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump back into build mode, and we're going to jump over here to the miscellaneous menu. And there's a number of things over here we might want to build. First of all, you have 2 types of cargo link. You have a normal cargo link and an inter-system cargo link. This one, the normal cargo link, you can only transfer within your same system. Inter-system, you can now transfer between other star systems as well. And that's the one we want to use because we're just going to make this into a farm, and then we're just going to put these into the to the inter-system cargo link system, and that means we can just plop these down on other bases, pull it in, and we're good to go. So again, try not to overlap too much with resources that we might want. We're going to find a spot here at the edge where that will fit. There, looks pretty good. Let's put down 1 for copper and 1 for nickel. I recommend you put down 1 for each material, because otherwise you end up with a situation where, let's say you have both copper and nickel going into the same one and you use a lot of copper, then all of a sudden that container will just be filled up with nickel and there will be no copper available on this, and then the whole production line stops. So I recommend just using 1 per material. So 1, 2 down, and we're actually going to put down a 3rd one. You might think, why do we need a 3rd one, Astro? We only need 2 materials, and that's going to be apparent in a minute. But also noticed up here we have a build limit of 3, so we can only build 3 of them, so we cap this out. Yeah, the last thing I like to build on a base, if I can find room for it, is a landing pad. Now I'm actually going to be overlapping some of my other copper here, so we're actually going to run out of space, unless I can find a space for it over here. Okay, let's just put it down here for now, and then we'll figure that out later. If we're gonna move it or not. The landing pad with Space Builder, this large landing pad just means that you can have your ship at your base. You might have to go back to the ship, go into space, and you can also go to the thing and swap your home ships around, and it will spawn here. But the easiest way is just to go back to a ship, into space, land at it, and then now your ship will land on this landing pad instead of landing far away. You don't have to run so far. We are almost done. Because what we need to do now is these interplanetary links, they need helium-3. And that's why I said earlier in the video that I recommend your first base is a helium-3 mine. So the way these works is we have 2 boxes. We have a incoming box. So that's everything that's coming into this base that goes into the green box. And over here in the red one, we have a outgoing box, as you guessed correctly. So that means everything that goes out of the base goes into this one. And back there, we have our helium-3 storage, where we need to have helium-3 available in order for this pad to work. But the problem is, Astro, we have no helium-3 on this moon. So in order to get helium-3 in, we are basically going to go and we're going to use one of these pads to pull in helium-3 and then distribute it out to these other pads here. I like to just put in a little intermediate container. Helium-3 is a gas. Helium-3 goes there. Okay, that's better. And now we can link from the incoming box to that, and then from this box to that box over there. Now we can see the link is right. And we can also use this to link to itself, so it can fuel its own landing pad. And we can fuel this landing pad over here. There we go. So now we have that. Now we just need to set up the landing pad. Just look at that. It's look awesome. Go to this little terminal right here at the end of the stairs. Then we're gonna go to a Helium-3 and we're gonna find, we can see there, we have a cargo intersystem cargo link there that has Helium-3 ready for it. We're going to go and link that. You hear that? Oh, you see that? Ship coming in now. Oh, this is awesome. I love this. There it is. Okay, so if everything works, we should begin to see Helium-3. Maybe it's get moved directly into the container. We'll see. And there we go. It moved into the gas storage here. Now we can see we are 98% full on Helium-3 here. So now we have Helium-3 coming in, and that means we can now use that to fuel our landing pads, as we already set that up. So the final thing we need to do is just to take these boxes here, connect these up to the outgoing boxes on our two other pads here. Link it there. There we go. So now we can link to those pads from other systems. Now the last thing that I recommend that you do is to put up a little bit of defense, as apparently pirates, I haven't really experienced it yet, but people say that pirates can show up. You can put down up to 6 turrets. Apparently they like to go after the storage containers. So let's just put down some turrets here around our storage containers. There we go. Now we're just a little short on power, so we're just gonna go and add some extra wind turbines to our little base here. Let's do the advanced wind turbines. There we go. Now we have enough power to keep the base running. And now our base is complete. We can see more heliums coming in here, so we have everything should now be full after the shipment. So that is how you set up a base for base building. If you found this useful, I have plenty more StarField guides and tutorials coming out. Go ahead and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks a lot for watching, and until next time, I will see you guys in space.